Hi y'all, this is Chris with DFW Airstream, and this is your 19-foot Caravel 2022. We're going to start right here with the front solar guard. I always lift these up and level them out. Remember, doing this is going to allow you to open the front window. The front window does open outward and it is blocked by this solar guard. So on this particular window, you're going to have to come outside and open something before it will allow you to open it from the inside. You can open the front and the rear window from the inside, but I will mention they tend to stick to the rubber gaskets. So if you've undone the latches and you're pushing on the stalks to open the window, if the window does not open readily, do not force it. Come outside with your finger, maybe an old credit card, a plastic scraper, free it from the gasket, and then you'll be able to open it from the inside. Opening the center solar guard will also allow you to get at the side solar guards. These have rubber gaskets around the edges of them, but over time, leaves and dirt are going to get past them, and the window that's behind these is going to get dirty. The only good reason you have to open the side solar guards is just to clean that window. The screws that hold it shut have a T-shape. You'll give them a quarter turn, they're going to come out of the channel, and they're both going to hinge away from the trailer. You want to make sure that you have a hold of it. If it's windy outside and the wind flings it open, there's no stop, and it could put a crease on the side of your trailer. The next thing we'll talk about are your batteries. This trailer has AGM batteries, and AGM stands for activated glass mat. What that means for you guys is the batteries are sealed. So all the trailers that we sell have sealed batteries, which means you're not going to have to worry about coming out here and checking the water level. There are a couple of fuses in here that I want you to be aware of. You've got the fuse here. It's just your standard 15 amp for the solar plug. So in addition to the onboard solar on this trailer, you can plug in a portable solar panel. Plug it in right there, it's already wired into the batteries. And then you also have the fuse for the tongue jack. Now this fuse is a little different. This is going to be a 30 amp slow blow fuse, and it's the only one on the trailer that is shaped like this. Again, that one's for the tongue jack. The tongue jack on this trailer is power. There is a light in case you've got to connect it at night, but this tongue jack does not stop immediately when you release the trigger. So you want to let it come to a stop before you reverse directions. But if you forget and suddenly reverse directions, the slow blow fuse is going to absorb the amperage. It's not going to pop immediately, but if you go rapidly back and forth on that up and down switch, you will eventually pop that fuse. Now there is a manual crank that comes with these trailers that will allow you to manually crank it on or off your tow vehicle. So if you don't have power, you're still going to be able to get it on or off the tow vehicle, but if you don't have power, check the fuse first. The tongue jack is wired directly into the battery. Coming back over here, if we look next to that solar plug, we're going to see the handle for your spare tire. There's a cotter pin that's holding a slide pin. You want to pull those. The handle's going to drop down and the spare is going to slide out towards you. This trailer is going to be an 80 PSI trailer, so you want to make sure you're running 80 PSI not only on your spare tire, but also on your road tires. We'll talk about the propane service next. This trailer has two 20-pound bottles. We will fill them up for you. In between them is an automatic regulator. So if you've got both bottles open, when one bottle runs empty, this automatic regulator will automatically switch over to the other bottle internally. However, there is a little post here on the regulator that you can point at one bottle or another, and if that bottle is open, it will pull from it. On these trailers, I recommend you run one open and run one closed because there is no gauge, so that way whenever one bottle runs empty, whatever device you had been using stops working, you actually have to come outside and close that bottle and open the other one, so at least you're aware that you're running off of that second bottle and you can be a little more conservative with your propane. We're going to leave this one open for now so that we can test a few items on the inside. These trailers also come with external propane ports. They're going to be on the other side of the battery box from the spare tire. These are pre-regulated low-pressure services that feed off your onboard tanks, and you can use those to run a little camping stove or maybe even a little space heater. We'll come around the corner here. I do want to point out your gross vehicle weight and your tire pressure sticker. Again, it's 80 PSI on your tires. You want to maintain that pressure for best towing and also best tire wear. This stud here, as well as its friend down at the end, and their twins on the other side of the trailer will draw the stabilizers down. These trailers come with manual cranks to do that. You can use a drill. It is a 19 millimeter or a 3/4 inch hex. Next is going to be the exhaust for the furnace. Now, these furnaces down here in the south are susceptible to mud dauber wasps. We do have little screens available that you can cover them with that'll keep those bugs out. Typically, if you purchase them here, I'll install them before you leave. Below that, you'll see a black tube that's designed to hold your sewer hose. That tube will hold a 15-foot collapsible sewer hose. Coming up here, we've got the backside of the vent-a-hood. When you're cooking and you're using the range and you've got the vent-a-hood on, you want to make sure that you've pushed the little tabs that are keeping that door shut up and out of the way to allow it to vent. but it must be secured when you're towing. This door is made of plastic. It's gonna flap as you head down the road. Over time, that flapping is gonna cause some damage. This is the fill port for the onboard freshwater tanks. When you're adding water to the trailer, you wanna fill it through here. This is just a gravity port. So you're gonna stick a water hose in here and fill it up. On this 19-foot Caravel, I will show you how you can set up the water monitor, which is actually on the wall right here next to this window, so that you can look in the main entry door and watch the status of your tanks as you're filling and emptying them. But when you're filling the fresh tank, if you lose track of it and you overfill it, it's gonna come out of the vent port next to the fill port and not inside the trailer. Now, I do recommend you cycle through the water in there every 2 weeks to 30 days. After 2 weeks, if you're drinking the water, it's gonna start to taste a little stale, and after 30 days, especially out in the heat, that water is gonna start to smell like feet. We're gonna find the drain for this below. We've got a little white petcock on the side of this silver case. Turn the flag at the top towards the rear of the trailer and it will slowly drain. Next is gonna be the outside shower. Now, if you're using this with the onboard fresh tank, to get water pressure here, you will have to turn on the onboard water pump. But when you are connected to the city water connection, the city water is going to provide pressure throughout the trailer, so you will already have water pressure here. This trailer also has an on-demand water heater. The default for that water heater is on, so if the trailer is powered, the water heater is also powered, and if one of your propane bottles is open the hot water valve here, and within 10 or 15 seconds, you'll also have hot water out here. Next is going to be the city water connection, so this is where you'll connect your water hose at your camping site for your on-demand water. These city water connections on the Airstreams already have built-in pressure regulators, so you do not need to add an external pressure regulator. It's 50 PSI. They're also plumbed through the onboard water pump. So if you're staying at a camping site that has weak water pressure, you can turn on the onboard water pump. It will boost the pressure at your faucets, but the city water connection feeds the faucets directly. It does not fill the fresh tank first and then feed the faucets. Below that, you have a waste cleanout valve. When you attach your water hose here, it's going to put water directly into the black waste tank, which is where the toilet empties, and it's designed to help you flush that one out. We're going to talk about that again in just a moment. I will mention your camp power will come in here. This is a 30 amp trailer at 120 volts. This is the shore cord. The shore cord is 25 feet long, and this smart plug has a cap for storage. You can cover the end while you've got it in your storage compartment. Keep dirt and debris from gathering on the end of that plug. One last thing before we talk about the waste is the cable and satellite port. They are labeled cable and satellite, and they're going to terminate in different places inside the trailer. So when we get inside, we'll talk again about that one. Down below, we've got your waste clean out. Now there is a light in case you've got to connect at night, and these handles are color coordinated. So you've got the black on the right and the gray on the left, and then above they are labeled as well. I always begin with the black tank, but before you pull this gate valve, I want you to connect your water hose to the waste clean out and start to introduce fresh water. This is a gravity drain, so I will recommend you fill it as full as you're comfortable so that you have the maximum volume of water to help carry all the solid waste out. So set the water monitor, look in the main entry door. When it hits 80 or 90%, come over here and pull the valve. And you'll notice the water comes rushing out of this port much faster than it goes back into the waste port. So when you see the flow diminish and the tank is mostly empty, I want you to close the valve and fill it right back up to the top with fresh water. You're going to fill and empty this tank 2 or 3 times until that flow goes from muddy to clear. I want you to wash it out until it's basically clean. Once it's clean, close the valve, let a little water back into that tank so you've got some water in it for your chemical to dissolve and diffuse into. I will typically fill it until it reads about 5%. Shut my water off, go inside and add a chemical into the toilet right then so I don't forget. You want to leave a little chemically treated water in that waste tank all year long, so as you're towing the trailer around, it's going to slosh around in there. It's going to help keep the inside clean. Come back outside and do the gray tank second. The gray tank is going to have mostly soapy water from your sinks and showers. It's going to help wash that pipe out. What you don't want to do is open both valves at the same time. If you do, the black tank will flow into the gray tank before it flows out of the valve, and it will contaminate it. You cannot leave your valves open at your camping site. You're going to end up drying out the black tank. You need to leave the valves shut so that you've got some water in that tank to catch the things that you're putting in the toilet. Use the capacity of the tank, and then wash them out when you're doing your waste clean out. All right, next we're going to talk about the stabilizer jacks. Now it does come with a manual crank, but you can use a drill to bring these down. Now I want to mention again that these are just stabilizer jacks. They're not designed to lift or level the trailer. So if you need to level the trailer, you must do that before you draw these down. If the camping site is on level side to side, back the low side up on some blocks, And then you'll be able to level it front to back with the tongue jack. But you do not ever want to operate the tongue jack with the stabilizers down. You're going to put too much pressure on one end or another, and you're going to cause them to collapse. Once you've got the trailer level, it's as simple as just cranking them on down. Run it down until it touches the ground. Give it just a little extra pressure. I like to start here in this corner and work my way counterclockwise around. So I'll do the 2 rear first, and then I'll do the 2 front. But the most important thing for you to remember about your stabilizers is to bring them up before you leave. If you begin to tow away with these down, you will simply rip them out from under the trailer. Please do not make that mistake. Now I'm going to grab an awning tool. We're going to pull the awnings on this side out. Now this Caravel is going to have fully manual awnings. On the roadside, we're going to have a little single hook style travel latch. You want to rotate that out of the way. We're going to grab the strap. We're going to pull away from the trailer. And we're going to capture it right there on the hook on the side. Now you can use the tool to return the awning if you need to. When you do, always connect to the fabric with the little aluminum cover and allow it to snap in those last couple inches so it's nice and tight. It's not wrinkled. You still have access to the strap to pull it back out. Again, you want to make sure you remember to re-engage your travel latch if you're leaving your camping site. If you're staying in the same camping site for several days, you'll be pulling the awning in or out as the day progresses. It doesn't necessarily need to be locked down at the camping site, but it must be locked down on the highway. At 60 miles an hour, these awnings tend to fold out with predictable results. Just rotate it right back into place. We'll come around the back. We're going to start here at the top. Now at the top you've got a backup camera. This backup camera has a microphone, so whoever's back here giving directions, if they speak towards the camera, they can be heard where the monitor is. But remember, it's just one way from the camera to the monitor. The awning on the rear does not have a latch, so we'll grab the strap. We're going to pull it right out. The stalks on either side must be rotated all the way around and captured here. They are simply too long to go this direction, so we need to go all the way around. And the strap on the rear is going to roll up and Velcro right back out of your view. Back here is where we're going to find your main outside storage compartment. In here we've stowed the propane line that fits the port up front, the manual crank for the tongue jack, and they're all coming with a collapsible 4-way tire tool. Now the light inside here does not go out whenever you close the door. Reach around the corner and turn that off before you close it up. Below that you have your bumper or your trunk storage compartment. This is the wet storage compartment. So when the door is shut or the lid is shut, it's actually still open here on the ends. You don't want to put anything in this one that you're worried about getting wet. We'll come around the corner here. First thing is going to be the water heater. Now, this is an on-demand water heater. It is not a tankless water heater. There is a little 0.4 gallon tank, but there's no drain plug. There's no add node rod, so for most folks it's going to be basically maintenance free. The control panel that you'll interface with is in the bathroom, and the default for that control panel is on. So if the trailer is powered, so is the water heater. But being on demand, you have to draw water through it to get it to do anything. Remember, it is propane fired. Outside, you've got a master disconnect switch that's going to disable the entire unit, and also a pressure relief valve. This allows us to service the water heater. But being propane fired, every time you make hot water, first thing you'll have to make sure is that one of your propane bottles is open and has gas in it. But the other thing you need to remember is that there is always going to be a hot propane exhaust coming out of here to about a foot. So just make sure that you haven't accidentally blocked it with anything flammable like the back of a fabric chair. Next, we've got your external AC port, just your standard 15 amp service. And this one is only going to be available when you're plugged into the shore service. The inverter will not power this one. Now, I do want to mention that despite of the size, most awnings are going to operate in this manner. The first thing we're going to do is disengage the little hook style travel latch. We're just going to rotate it out of the way, and the ones on the end will unscrew. Down here to the other end. Now at this point we can pull the awning out, but when we pull the awning out, it's very important for us to pull away from the trailer and not straight down, so we don't accidentally scratch the side of the trailer with our awning tool. So we're gonna grab the strap, we're gonna pull away, pull the strap to you, lose the tool, make sure you've got a hold of the awning itself, keep pulling it out until the flap drops out, keep a hold of it until you can get down here to the arm, grab the arm and place it up here on the head. Always place it here, never here. And once you've got it in place, we're gonna push it forward to lock it. Just like so. Now we're gonna come down to the other end and do the same thing. And I just wanna show you guys real quick that the end is spring loaded here and it latches up here. So we're pulling it until it latches and capturing it in between the awning. Just like so. Now at this point you can start to extend it. There are 4 of these notches, and you can do up to 2 at a time before the arm will begin to bind. I will typically just start with 1. We'll come over here, we're gonna do a couple. So we're gonna do 1 and now 2. And we'll come back over here and do a couple more. So 3 and 4. Now you'll notice I've got the awning at an angle. These awnings are sunshades. So if you've got more sunlight coming in low from one direction or another, you can tilt the awning to block the sun. But it is not a heavy wind or a heavy rain shade. It's made of aluminum. It's designed to be lightweight. Cannot take the torque of a heavy wind, and of course a heavy wind is always going to accompany a heavy rain. So if it starts to blow or pour, you want to make sure you have folded it away. The strap on the curbside awning will roll up onto itself. And eventually there is a loop at the top, and you'll be able to tuck it in that. Now I also want to mention at the top of the awning where it meets the trailer, you've got an LED light strip. We'll open the door here. That light strip is dimmable. So if you hold your finger on the button, you'll be able to dim it or turn it off. Folding the awning in does not cause the light to go out. You need to make sure you've got it turned off from the dimmer switch inside the unit. Putting it away is just the reverse of bringing it out. So we'll drop the strap out. We're gonna come over here. We're gonna drop a couple of notches, and you'll notice that when I pull these out, I don't just hold them out. I pull them out and I let them ride on here. If you hold them out, it's gonna end up going all the way down, and that's when the awning arm will bind. Drop one more notch there. We'll come down to the other end. Same thing. 1 and 2. Now with this arm all the way down, we're gonna reach here to release the stabilizer arm, and we're gonna set it on the travel rest. They just get set in place. We'll come down to the other end. We're gonna drop the last notch. Now at this point, when you pull to release, you wanna make sure you've got a hold of the awning so it doesn't come trucking in on its own. These are under tension. So grab the flap, maybe put your hand up here on the top until you can get down to the strap. And then again, if you need to use the tool to return it, fold the awning in until it connects with the little aluminum cover and let it snap in those last couple inches so it's nice and tight and it's not wrinkled. Again, you want to make sure you re-engage your travel latches if you're leaving your camping site. I will typically start with the hook style one. We're just going to rotate it back into position. And then pinch the arms together. Slide this back in the slot and start tightening it back down. Now you're always welcome to get yourself a step ladder or stand here in the doorway and tighten them down by hand. All right, the step on the Caravel is the easiest step to operate of any Airstream. You're simply going to slip it back into place and pull it right back out. Brian, if you'll step on inside. Now I do want to point out as we come inside, there is a fire extinguisher right here by the door. Over on the other side underneath the dinette bench is where we're going to find a little drawer. Here on the wall, you have your master battery disconnect switch. This is how you turn the trailer off for storage. Remember, it will shut every item in the trailer off, including the refrigerator. Above that, we have the little switch for the step light. So right here by the entry door is a light. The overhead light is also on a dimmer like the awning. And the awning light is right next to that. Up here we've got the DVD Blu-ray player and also the monitor for the backup camera. We always pair those up before you leave. Here's your radio. The radio can be paired with your phones. On this trailer, it's a JL Audio Media Master 50, and the code that you'll see on your phone is a combination of the model. So you're just going to see JLAMM50. Select a source, over here to Bluetooth, select there, and then go to Connect New Device. Very simple. Now I do want to mention behind the DVD player is where we're going to find the termination point for the satellite port. So you can actually take this box loose from the wall. There's a couple of screws here on the end. Coming out of the wall here is going to be the other end of the coax cable. This trailer is designed for you to set up a portable satellite dish and plug it into the side of the trailer. Place your receiver here, run that cable to it, and if you pull the DVD connection, if you pull the HDMI cable out of the DVD player and plug it into the satellite receiver, it's going to send the satellite signal out to the TV onto the HDMI 1 slot. That's currently where you would find the DVD player. The dinette will lift up, we'll stow the table leg, pull the slots out of the wall. Making it into a bed will require you to move the cushions out of the way. You want to go all the way down to the cabinet, and you're going to take the short end off of the side there and place it in the middle. Putting it away, just lift it right back up, tuck the tabs into the wall, and drop the table lid. Now here on the wall we have your sea level monitor. That'll give you your battery voltage. That is 13.5 volts, and that's typically what you're going to see when you're plugged into your shore service. The water tanks are going to be displayed in a percentage. So we have 25% full on your fresh tank. The gray tank is also 25% full, and the black tank is 17% full. Now if you press the button on here once, within a few seconds that number will disappear. But if you press it twice, you're going to get a little dot here that will hold the value for that particular tank on the screen for about 5 minutes. So as you're filling and emptying the tanks, you can look in the main entry door and watch the status. Also here we'll find the switch for the onboard water pump. This is an on-demand water pump, so it's going to pressure up and stop. It's going to hold that pressure until you release it, and that's when the pump will come back on. Below that, this trailer has onboard solar, and that is the solar monitoring panel. And below that we have the inverter. We're going to turn that on by pressing the button on the right. The inverter is going to provide an alternating current service when you're boondocking and you're using the direct current that's stored in your batteries. The trailer is designed to run off of DC, but the television and the DVD player will only work off of alternating current. So just to use those two devices, you'll want to turn this on. So these are just going to power the DVD player and the television. You can get your battery display as well as your shore power. The third display that's blank is the draw. And to turn it off, you've got to hold your finger on here until you can get the display to flash. All right, the next thing we'll talk about is the vent hood. Remember, you want to make sure you have opened the door on the outside when you turn the fan on. Turn the light off there. Below that, you've got your range. Now, pushing down on the knob is going to strike the igniter. And then we're going to turn it over and let it light. Below that, you've got your microwave. This microwave has a convection and a broiler feature. It is going to default as a microwave. Remember, it's only available when you're plugged into the shore service. The convection and the broiler feature is actually an element at the top and a fan inside that's going to circulate the heat provided from that element. That's what the little pan and the rack are for, so you want to make sure you remember to remove those when you're using the microwave. Now over here we've got the refrigerator. This is an AC/DC refrigerator, so it's running off of alternating current when you're plugged into the shore. Pull the shore cord, it's going to switch over to the batteries. There's nothing that you'll need to do to make that happen. This refrigerator has a little travel tab that's keeping the door shut as you tow. You can use that little tab to block the door open when you're storing it. That'll prevent it from molding or mildewing inside. Now this refrigerator will take 2 to 3 hours to get completely cold. We are going to recommend you plug it in and get it cold overnight. If you've got it packed full of cold food and completely cold, It will stay cold all by itself for 5 or 6 hours without an external power source. But because it runs off of the batteries, you can leave the refrigerator on by leaving the master disconnect switch by the entry door on, and it will stay cold as you're towing because the alternator on your tow vehicle is also charging your batteries. Now coming back across, down below the wardrobe, we have the breaker box. You've got your AC on the left side, you got your DC on the right side. At the very bottom here is the GFI reset. So if you trip one of the plugs, you need to come here to reset it. Several different sizes of fuse listed on the sticker to the right, and in between the fuses and the sticker is a little red LED light. One of those fuses goes out, you should be able to see that red LED through the window here. Now in the bathroom, just really quick, there's a seat in the shower. You can pull that seat out, just lift it up. The shower door, when you go to open the door, you make sure you follow it with your hand. Don't let it come banging open. If you do, it's going to end up causing some damage. Above us, we've got a manual vent fan. This one gets pushed open. This little red button turns it on and off. Pull it closed. Flushing the toilet, real simple. Partial step's going to fill the bowl. Full step's going to flush. Remember, your tank chemical goes straight out into the bottom of the toilet. Trade me spots, Brian. You stand in here. Now in the bathroom, we're going to find the water heater control. You've got 2 lights, as well as the bathroom light and the HVAC. Starting with the water heater, the default for this is on. You can turn it off by pressing the red button, but again, if you hit the battery switch by the door, when you turn the trailer back on, the water heater is just going to come right back on. Now I typically set these to 118 degrees. That's what most folks are used to it coming out of the faucet at. They will get as hot as 124 or as cool as 96. But being on demand, all we have to do is create a demand. It's going to come on its own. So we'll see a little indicator when it starts to work and a little flame in the middle when it lights. Once the temperature crosses about 110, it should already be starting to get warm. And then shuts itself off when you turn the water source off. Again, these are dimmer switches, so if we hold our fingers on here, we can dim the lights. And then you have your HVAC control. This is going to be a single zone unit. Alright, so when the HVAC controller is dark, the first press of any of the buttons is simply going to turn the backlight on. So you folks will end up pressing the buttons twice in a lot of cases. We're going to press the power button here, we're going to turn the backlight on, and then we're going to press it again to get the unit powered. We're going to use the mode button, and the first option we're going to have is the air conditioner. Now, I do want to mention that these air conditioners don't fire up immediately. It takes just a few minutes. You'll see a little hourglass pop up. The fan's going to come on first, and then once the compressor kicks in, the hourglass will disappear, and that's usually within about 30 seconds of the fan itself coming on. Alright, the fan just came on right there. We're still waiting on the compressor to kick in. Alright, now if you look down here, you'll see a little fan symbol and it says auto. That is the fan speed control, and there are 3 speeds. You have low, medium, and high. I do recommend you leave it in auto as the default, so that way when you turn the control panel on, the fan doesn't come on immediately. And I also want to mention that the speeds don't change immediately, so be patient with it. Now, by mode, we're going to have another auto across the top. The auto across the top is going to automatically switch between the air conditioner and the heat pump, depending on your ambient temperature and what you've got the target temperature on the control panel set for. By mode, the next option will be the heat pump. The heat pump is your electric heat, so you must be plugged into your shore service to get it to work, just like the air conditioner. It does make a little squishy sound as it switches back and forth from the air conditioner to the heat pump, so you can listen for that. And I also want to mention that the heat pump is only going to work at 100% efficiency down to about 50 degrees ambient temperature. After that, you're going to want to switch over to the propane furnace. The propane furnace is powered through zone 2. So on zone 1 after the heat pump, we have a fan only option, and then off. The furnace is going to disable the overhead unit, and it will come on down below separately. They are 2 separate units. And even though the furnace is powered through the same control panel as the air conditioner and the heat pumps, the furnace is going to work when you're boondocking, and it will run off of just the batteries, whereas the air conditioners and the heat pumps will will require you to plug into a minimum of a 30 amp service. Back to the furnace, I do want to mention the furnace does not light immediately, but it is propane fired, so you need to make sure that you've got at least one of your propane bottles open. It takes about 10 seconds before it lights. Once it's lit, you can use the overhead fan if you're plugged into the short service by selecting a speed, and that'll draw the furnace air up into the ducting and help redistribute it throughout the trailer. After you shut this off, and I do want you to cycle through to off on both zones before you turn the control panel off, you'll notice that the furnace continued to run for 2 minutes. Please do not depower the trailer during that time. It is just blowing regular temperature air through the ducting to make sure there's not any hot spots. And I want you to make sure that both zones are off before you turn the control panel off, so that way when you turn the control panel back on, it doesn't accidentally come on to whatever you had been using previously. We also have the inside temperature button here. You have your Fahrenheit Celsius button, temperature up and down. There is a clock, and it has 2 programmable cycles. Remember your fan speed control, the modes, the zone button, and of course your power button. Over here in the bedroom we have the TV. This TV is on a travel bracket, so you can pull the strap at the bottom. It will come away from the wall. Make sure you've got it secure when you're towing. Against the wall we've got a little black plate with a green light. That is going to be the power for the antenna on the roof. When the green light is lit, it's sending power to the antenna, allowing you to pull in your local signal for your TV and also the radio. But this is a 2-way switch, so we're going to press the black button. That's real hard to see on the black plate, but it's right here next to the light. Turns the light off, the signal is going to freeze, and it's now allowing the signal to pass through from the cable port. So remember, the satellite port is going to terminate over here where the DVD player is. The cable port will terminate where the TV is. You got to turn the booster off to get the signal to pass through. And I do recommend you leave that booster off as the default because it will draw on your batteries when you're storing it if you're not plugged in. That's going to be the end of the walkthrough, so thank you for your time.
Thanks for watching our video. If you have any questions or have any recommendations on content you'd like to see, make sure to drop a comment in the comment section below. If you enjoy our content, give us a like and be sure to subscribe to our channel. Thanks again from Airstream DFW.